Hello everybody. Alright, today looks like it's going to be shaped up to be a great stream today. Alright, let me boom and... okay, there we go. Alright. So, yes. Alright, so, plan for today. I've got a lot of good energy right now. I'm very excited. I've seen a lot of the reveals that have been coming out of GenCon, especially with regards to games like D&D. And so I want to actually go away from just hearing all the social media hype about it. I want to hear what they actually say, kind of react to what they're saying to the reveals, and see just kind of give my own takes as a fan of some of the reveals, some of the things that have been revealed. Then I also want to jump into talking about how ancestry mechanics actually are going to work in the Underkeeper RPG, and that's probably going to be a lot of what we're doing kind of in the background here, since I've got the docked live stream window from WotC and from their keynote address the other day over here. Hang on, did I turn my music off here? Or okay, it's still on Explore. Sorry, I've got my stream tablet, my virtual stream tablet that is, open there, just where I work all of my audio stuff out of. Then I also just kind of want to jump into talking Draw Steel for a bit, just because I was scrolling social media in a bit before jumping on here, and there's some fun stuff because it's been a year. So it's gonna be, I think, just a great stream. I can't wait to see what you guys all think. Can't wait to hear what you guys think of what WotC has been announcing regarding, D&D and such. So yeah, I suppose let's kind of just jump right on into it. So yeah. Here, before we go ahead and jump into the D&D playthrough there, or not playthrough, the keynote. So what I'm doing here is working through the ancestry and half ancestry options that I'm going to have available in the core rulebook for the Underkeeper RPG here. And so a lot of what I have here is going to be copying and pasting information that exists already over in our core rulebook text here. And so we have a lot of lore, we have a lot of information about them, but we don't necessarily know which senses they have, about base speeds, signature abilities, and so a lot of what I want to do as far as working on and building out ancestries for this game is to make it so that ancestries are a very customizable thing. So because, all dwarves are not a monolith. And so I want to just kind of set this up here as a spreadsheet, so that way I can just kind of see, I can balance different mechanics off of each other, and maybe even pencil in some notes as far as customizable traits. So what I've got kind of presented on my spreadsheet here, once again, it is a blank spreadsheet. I've got senses and speed, since those are going to be two core mechanics that get introduced early on. Your levels of sight typically here, so that's going to include infravision, tremor sense, that sort of thing. Speed, I believe it's going to usually be upwards and downwards of 20 feet as far as base speed, because there's a lot of things that are going to affect your base speed within the game and within its rules. And then signature features is where we're going to be talking about the cool thing that makes a dwarf a dwarf. I guess, is something that's going to be unique to dwarves. Here, let me actually pull chat up onto screen right now, so that way I can kind of just let that roll as I have the WotC presentation playing in the background. Yeah, no, I will kind of be jumping in, pausing it here and there in order to, you know, hit up with things in chat, see what you guys are resonating with, and just kind of open up discussions and dialogues about the future of D&D, the future of tabletop RPGs, and the hobby in general. So, I suppose without further ado, let me... where are you? Go ahead and get that open here. So yeah. Let's go ahead and get our player active. There we go. And jump back over to our core rulebook here. Then, as far as just setup and such, let's go ahead and turn off our stream music, so that way the keynote is in and of itself the backing music. Hang on, let me just see where this was on my virtual. Okay, so we're hovering at about minus 36. And then when I talk, it hovers, it goes up to there. So, ideally, if I plug that off, that's right now where my voice is, so I need to drop it a couple notches. Okay. I think that might be good, but if audio levels are coming through a bit odd, please let me know, so that way I can adjust it. Headphones here. Gotta kind of go around the horns there because they're not really designed for it. All right. So let's get things going. Okay, let's jump forward into where they're actually going to be talking about the cool stuff.
What are you doing? GenCon, how we doing tonight? All right, GenCon, you know how this goes. That was a 6. We're gonna need you at an 11. Now, before we do that 11, for context, this is an incredible weekend where like tens of thousands of us show up to do the one thing we love. Sometimes with friends we never see, family we never see. GenCon, how are you doing? That's what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, keep that energy going for your host. Coming to the stage, you know him as Baldur's Gate 3's nice boy, Will Ravengard. We know him as one of the most genuine human beings you'll ever meet, Theo Solomon!
Hello, GenCon. How are you doing? Woo! Look, I'm going to be completely honest. I have never emceed anything like this before. I just truly love this game, how it's affected my life. So I asked how I could help and be here, and look, here I am, so excited to be here. You know, I think I speak for all of us when I say Dungeons & Dragons is a truly amazing game. Whether that's for you in the audience, all the people backstage, or all the beautiful people watching at home, we thank you for giving us your time and your energy. Now, everyone, I'm gonna need you to strap in because this next hour is gonna be absolutely epic. Are you ready? No. People, I said, are you ready? Thank you. To help kick things off on how we're shaping the future of D&D, please welcome to the stage the head of D&D, Dan Ayub. Woo!
Hello, GenCon! How are we doing tonight? Right on. Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to D&D's long overdue return to GenCon. All right? This one is special to me for a number of reasons. It's a bit of a milestone for me. I think I took over the franchise like 4 days before the last GenCon. So it's kind of my 1-year anniversary. So thank you for all coming out to celebrate. And I could not be happier to show y'all what we've been up to for the past year. This year has been a year of intense planning for the D&D team. So I can't wait to go through it with y'all tonight. So hopefully you're all ready to have some fun and see some surprises.
Okay, hit me.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Dan, and I've been playing D&D since I opened my Red Box when I was 12 years old. And I just became an instant fan, and I have never stopped playing. I mean, this launched a love of D&D for me that stayed with me, honestly, my whole life. So, you know, as some of you may have heard me say throughout the year, it's been both a dream and a fucking terror at the same time, having this job that means so much to me every day. So, you know, one of my biggest goals coming in was to bring everyone back to the table, right? Get everyone back and remind everyone why D&D has been what it's been for the last 52 years. And to bring it back, that's the theme, right? Bring it back to all of you. Bring it back to our players. Bring it back to the hobby stores where it all began. Bring it back to video games. Bring it back to where it belongs. Top of mind for all of us. So, this is more than a game. This is a cultural powerhouse that has touched...
I mean, bring it back to the, you know, to where it was is a very good thing. It's very important for what WotC needs to do with D&D just after, like, the OGL. Like, they have burned through so much goodwill with the community. And, well, I think 5.5e is on a very good trajectory. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit hesitant in kind of just trusting WotC going forward. Like, what they've said sounds good. Like, everything that they've said since the OGL, everything that they've done, like releasing the SRDs into the Creative Commons licenses, including the new one, is great. That said, they've been in interesting positions where, like, they've said that they're going to release, like, the 3rd edition SRD into a Creative Commons license, and go back into previous editions and open those up so that people can design off of them. And that's definitely not happened, and I think the entire teams that were either in charge of them or were saying about that have either left WotC or been fired, because Hasbro management is rough, and just very much shareholder focused. So, you know, making D&D kind of a powerhouse, making them a staple, like, kind of cultural touchstone for players at the table, for RPG enthusiasts, I think that's going to be a huge thing that they need to do.
Touched every aspect of entertainment, but we can never forget
every aspect of entertainment. Are we going to get another D&D movie? Because, like, I know Jonathan Francis Daly and I believe it's Jonathan Goldstein. I know they have a new movie coming out, but I don't know if they are officially booked for anything thereafter. And that first D&D movie rocks. It's so good.
The soul of Dungeons and Dragons. The soul are the players
The soul is the fact that we sold it for money.
around the table, right? Building adventures together, building memories together.
But that's also a good point as well. That's the non-cynical part of it. No, the soul is building memories, building encounters, and like sharing good times with people around the table.
And that's the theme of this whole night tonight. We're going to talk about how we're going to help protect that experience and grow it for the next 50 years or more.
Are we expecting 5.5e to last 50 years? Like, I feel like that's a off-the-cuff statement there, but like, D&D editions are not measured in like that short amount of time here. Like, actually, hang on. There we go. Editions of D&D. Like, yeah. Okay, so this is not quite as what I was hoping here for, but like 1974 to 77 is we have original edition D&D. Hang on, let me get this bigger screen here so it's right in the center. And not obscured by chat or my face. And then we have kind of the early kind of where multiple editions were kind of happening at the same time, multiple official editions, and then that kind of becomes condensed here in 95 with revised second edition. And then after that point, it's mostly been just one main edition at a time. So we've got third edition 3.5e. The third edition era went from 2000 to 2003, and then 2003 to 2008. So really, that's about an 8-year period for third edition here. About a 5-year period for revised second edition, though how you want to break that down into with how second edition was really kind of repeat of first edition, and then they have a lot of different things on the side. Arguments can be made. Then we have fourth edition here, which was 2008 to 2014. So that's what 6-year period there. During which the last 4 years were them doing a 4.5 sort of thing with D&D Essentials. And then 5th edition has been the longest lasting so far at 10 years, 2014 to 2024. And 2024 is now 5.5e going forward, formerly like 1 D&D and all that, but like, are we saying that we're like, I think it was a Matt Colville video where he was talking about the idea that D&D would become this sort of legacy brand, is that more of what we're seeing going forward from Hasbro, and just kind of converting D&D into this sort of legacy monolith where we're not going to be really getting any new editions going forward, and we're just going to kind of be continuing to build on the same framework. Like 5th edition as a baseline is quite good. But like 10 years into 5th edition, like the first time, like there were cracks in the armor that had formed long ago, and we were just kind of dealing with that and homebrewing around it. 5.5e right now is in a good spot. It is, I do feel comfortable saying that it is better than 5e. But at the same time, 5e had its jank and 5.5e fixed that jank, but 5.5e has its own jank. Like, the cracks in that armor are going to continue to widen. They're going to continue to grow. And that's only going to become more apparent with time, and as we continue to release product, as we continue to release books and the like I'm just hesitant that, you know, scope creep, power creep, those are things that are just kind of going to genuinely happen. Like, I think the biggest example of this was, I mean, class and subclass design in later 5e 2014 period, but like silvery barbs, was a late edition, 5th edition spell that got added in, and that like fundamentally changed a lot of the metas of 5e. Are you saying that like 8 years from now, 5.5e might introduce something like a silvery barbs that is going to completely change the meta, but it's just going to be kind of stuck there going forward, and like it's not going to reveal that there are fundamental flaws in the design of 5.5e, or like bring those design issues to the forefront? Because like I'm just I'm just hesitant. Oh, hang on, I've got a couple of bots that are showing up in chat there. Let me go ahead and just kind of block those from appearing on the chat replay section of the screen up there, even though they are being taken care of in chat there by my automation tools. So like the thing is, are we only going to keep with like SRD based content and like maintain it at SRD power levels, or like, because like scope creep, power creep is gonna be a thing, and so like I'm curious as to what their tools for combating that are going to be. Are we going to have errata, like live errata, basically, where we're just going to be continually tweaking 5.5e so we don't have to make 5.75e, or like re-release 5e as like 6e or something along that lines? Like, I can imagine we get a Dungeons and Dragons 6th edition where it follows into the 2nd edition is just 1st edition again, but we clean things up again. And so we just call it 6th edition, but it's really 5.5.5e, where it's just continuing that era of design. I don't know. I just don't know. But hearing that they're thinking of keeping this going for another 50 years, I mean, once again, that could just be an off-the-cuff sort of thing. But that just gives me a bit of pause. Okay. Man, already jumping, kind of being there.
So today marks a new tradition for us, an old D&D tradition, GenCon. This is going to be our big show from now on. And as I said at Gamma, every
Hell yeah.
GenCon, we're going to share our upcoming roadmap with you for the coming year. So we got a lot to get to tonight. So yeah.
Look, I am a huge fan of like trade shows and such. So like Comic-Con is going on right now, and it's got all the major Hollywood studios and such coming out and showing all the cool stuff. Like, but at the same time, like now Disney's going to do E3, and so they're going to have a lot of their stuff kind of reserved for where they have full control of the event and everything. And like, I think it's like I'm not one to promote, hey, let's all follow the monolith. Like, no, absolutely have your own event spaces and such, but at the same time, there is something to be said for having a convention where everyone is at, or like where a lot of the major studios, major production houses are at, and that's where they release all of their information. And so, as far as tabletop games go, Gen Con is, I think, as close as you can get to something like that. And so, having WotC and having the D&D team actually coming back to here in order to take advantage of that, I think that can only be considered a good thing.
All right, Theo, we got a lot to do. You ready?
After all that hype,
There it is. Oh, yeah.
It does look a little sparse on details, Dan.
Yeah, while I'm looking at it, I think you're kind of right. Okay, that's fair, but you know what? Let's check again as we go through. I think that may fill out. Let's talk about the new dawn of D&D. What that means is everyone should have a D&D experience that speaks to them. Dungeons & Dragons is 52 years young, and that means that we have the responsibility of ensuring that all of our players have experiences that feel authentic to them. And as an old school player myself, This meant a really cool, some might say selfish opportunity for me to bring our history back to the forefront. You know, I stand here tonight, I acknowledge, on the shoulders of giants. And these icons still have many stories left to tell. And I had a few goals coming into this job, and one of them was to create a dedicated line of D&D around these classic creators. And
That sounds good. That sounds very promising. Okay. So I know some of the things that they're going to talk about here, but one of the things. Give me my blue sky here. Hang on. One of those things leaked early. So let's go ahead and going to pull this all the way around here. Ignore a couple of those things that we'll be talking about in a second. So initially, I've been rather snarky to, the idea of universes beyond in D&D. When they started, when they accidentally leaked, or I believe it was Roll20 leaked, that World of Warcraft is going to be a new D&D book, and so I'm pretty sure that that's going to be something that we're going to be seeing here. Now, just kind of talking this through and explaining my position a little bit more. Actually, I'll probably just read a lot of what I have here. Like, I want to be optimistic. I miss Plane Shift, and I adored the Dark Tides of Bilgewater D&D promo, and like I understand that WoW is coming to D&D in that sort of, well, not in that sort of context, and that's the part that's kind of important here. But it's the same genre. It's a heroic fantasy RPG sort of thing. I'm hesitant here because Universes Beyond, like I'm a newer Magic the Gathering player. My friend Jacob has introduced me to Magic the Gathering, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. That said, the things that I enjoy about Magic is the world building, is their universes within stuff, and I'm hesitant with Universes Beyond just because it reads like just blatant capitalism, and it just feels it's kind of depressing just because I feel like it is diluting the coolness and the things that I appreciate and have enjoyed the most with Magic the Gathering and its world building. So yeah, no, I was in my initial kind of reactionary kind of eep to the EN World post about the World of Warcraft coming out as a part of D&D. I was like, I genuinely hope that they should cool mechanics, class and ancestry awesome, and that it's a great options for players to play in the World of Warcraft. But like, I'm just kind of worried because, like, once again, this is Hasbro. This is the kind of people who had Spider-Man come to Magic the Gathering, and now the Avengers and all that stuff. And like, I like Marvel. I'm a fan of Marvel. I enjoy a lot of that. I'm planning on gonna go see the new Spider-Man movie, hopefully within the next week or so, because I think it genuinely looks fun. But I'm just hesitant that, look, the production cycles take a long time. It's taken me several years to work on my own RPG here. Now, granted, I don't have the resources of Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast or any of that, but like, D&D only puts out like what 2, 3, 4 books a year usually, and they have a lot of contract workers and testers and such who are bringing on a lot of talent and a lot of writing potential into D&D. And so if we're bringing in like a Universes Beyond style model, I'm just saying I want more Spelljammer. I want sure, give me some Magic the Gathering settings because it feels the same. It's still under the Wizards of the Coast banner, but like we're introducing new settings, and technically speaking, we're not. I had someone either on this thread or elsewhere kind of call me out, point me in the correct direction of, hey, we did have I think it was a 3E World of Warcraft book or like a campaign setting set in Azeroth, and so this isn't wholly outside of the realm of partnered content with D&D. I also got a lot of people saying, hey, D&D has done partnered content before with like Paramount with Rick and Morty, I believe it was. I think it's Paramount, but whatever. With Netflix and Stranger Things, but a lot of that has just kind of been starter boxes, has been introductory content that is used to bring people into the hobby. It's not affecting the core game. It's not fundamentally new classes and like a new core rulebook. And so I talked this through with all my friends, and I'm like, hey, this is honestly like this makes me hesitate. But I think my biggest frustration here is that there's a lot of D&D settings that aren't open to writers, designers, and community in a way that is going to make D&D fundamentally different to Magic the Gathering. So that way, my thought process, my concern here was that Magic the Gathering style Universes Beyond would just start taking up more of that, 4 book releases per year that WotC is able to put out. And so we're not going to get something like a Dark Sun. I know it's coming. I'm interested. That we're not going to get more plane shift, that we're not going to get more planescapes, that we're not going to get like more soldier stuff. And that was one of my big hesitations there. And so my initial thought process here is I would be a lot more open to the idea of universes beyond, and even IP licensed ones like a World of Warcraft, if WotC was allow for like third-party setting creations under the DM's Guild license, even if they haven't already like released books in that line yet. So something like we were talking about this a couple months ago, maybe, but like Red Steel is something that no one can really design for right now, whether they want to or not. I think I've got some cool ideas and such, but like we were through the CDs because I can't find the track lists or like a full digital availability for them anywhere online, and especially this one, like I can't find anything regarding this one. The core box set, there's a couple things here and there, but like Savage Baronies, there's nothing. And so my thought process here is, hey, just make this available with the DM's Guild content, so that way you have second party or like third party really releasing on a WotC controlled platform, so that they can make money off of the legacy setting, which it's annoying, but like you get when you sign up for the license there. Whereas that way you can opt into legacy content, etc. Magic the Gathering doesn't have this, so Universes Beyond entering into the game's facets and constructions feels a lot more disruptive to the fantasy, themes, and world building of the game than it could for D&D. And I think that is kind of the core thesis here. D&D has the DM's Guild, and so it becomes that we have new opportunities to create for the game as a community. So yeah, I'm just very interested in here.
A couple of days into my job at this very event last.
Actually, here let's go ahead and step back to where we were there. That's sneaking a bit of the future. Okay.
Year, create a dedicated line of D&D around these classic creators.
So yeah, classic settings is something that I want to see be much more available. Like, don't get me wrong, I fully expect that, like, we're not going to be getting like I just want these older books to become available, because even if there is problematic content in there, and there is, the design can still live separate from it. We can separate good design from a problematic setting and create something cool from that. Like, sure, there's like I knowing that Dark Sun is coming up, like I know that WotC doesn't want to talk about slavery, doesn't want to talk about, you know, defiling, doesn't want to talk about cannibal halflings necessarily, because those are topics that have nuance that, you know, and the setting itself is an argument, kind of that is very anti-capitalist, that is very much resist the powers that be and resist the structures that have destroyed the world of Athos. And so like a hero in that setting is pushing back against all of this absolute evil, and like that's a strong fantasy. That's some strong stuff. That is great, but I fear that, I mean, well, no, I know that WotC doesn't really. I fear. I don't have receipts, but like WotC is risk averse in that they are beholden to shareholders, and so we could get a Dark Sun that's just kind of watered down. And so like then it just becomes a part of the DM's guild, and you know that's where it's really going to shine, where third-party content creators can design for it, and they're going to be the ones who are going to actually like bring back the interesting discussion points and bring back the pieces of what makes Dark Sun a useful and interesting setting that WotC isn't going to necessarily probably want to deal with on its surface. But that's a whole screed. This is, as I'm sure you can tell, this has been on my mind for the past couple days, really since the World of Warcraft article leaked. Well, yeah.
And you know, a couple of days into my job at this very event last year, I sat down with someone for was going to be a quick lunch. I think we ended up being together for like 3 hours, and we connected around our memories around Dungeons and Dragons, and we decided in that meeting to make it happen. So let's talk about that. I am so honored to bring out my collaborator and friend to talk about our first new line of the night, D&D Icons. Please welcome the Chief Creative Officer of D&D Icons, Mr. Joe Manganiello.
Okay.
Make some noise, GenCon!
Wow. Yes. What's an icon? No. An icon could be an emblem. It could be a symbol representing sacred events, sacred gatherings, or a person widely admired, having great influence or significance, a sacred individual. We're gathered here at GenCon 59, which is short for the Geneva Convention, which was founded in 1968 at the Horticultural Hall in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, by none other than Ernest Gary Gygax. The inaugural event attracted somewhere around 96 Midwest wargamers, which for the time was an absolute coup. Today, the festival welcomes upwards of 70,000 people annually from all over the world, and the plans for next year are going to make it possible to accommodate even more. Now, no one can deny the power and vast influence of those 3 rules pamphlets that Gary typed up on a Smith Corona typewriter at 330 Center Street back in 1974. And no one could have predicted that those first 1,000 brown boxes that he named Dungeons and Dragons would contain an American art form that would inspire generations to get together in groups and tell stories together. And we're all here today because of him. And I'm here today to ensure his place on the Mount Rushmore of tabletop gaming by building a bridge to his work that was interrupted back in 1985. And for the first time in 40 years, his original fantasy setting will return to Dungeons and Dragons as curated at his request by his son. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to Icons, Luke Gygax and the return of the world of Greyhawk.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, this is interesting. I am in. Let me let it play out.
Hey, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for that warm welcome and for hyping me up, Joe. That was an awesome introduction. This is an incredible moment for me personally to be working on Greyhawk and Dungeons & Dragons, and being part of the icons is amazing. To be able to put the Gygax name on the front of an official Dungeons & Dragons product, again, is something I never dreamed of. Absolutely amazing. And what better could I be working on than Greyhawk through the eyes of my character, Melf. And I know we're calling it a return to Greyhawk, but Greyhawk has never left. And it's going to be amazing to have new 5e Greyhawk material, but Greyhawk has been around for decades. It is the original Dungeons & Dragons setting. Its DNA is throughout the game, whether it's heroes, villains like Vecna, spells like Melf's Minute Meteors or Melf's Acid Arrow. But it's been around, since the 70s, before even the Gazetteer was published. And that's just a testimony to the power of the original Dungeons & Dragons setting. And I'm very excited at what
So he's going to be, I guess, leading a team to do this. And so this is going to be WotC-made content from a... Okay.
Indy is doing, and we'll hear more about that from Justice Armin in just a few minutes.
Thank you.
Hell yeah, Justice. Justice rocks.
And there's more. You've all heard the phrase, name a more iconic duo. Well, there isn't a more iconic duo in fantasy for me than the next two people.
Tracy Hickman, Margaret Weiss.
As a kid, I became obsessed with a series of New York Times best-selling fantasy novels.
Mm-hmm.
And I read them so quickly and so voraciously that I turned to shoplifting to feed my habit. Now, when I see these two people out in the wild, I always make sure that I buy them dinner to pay for the royalties that they didn't get. I had a red box on my shelf previously, but I didn't fully understand how to create and inhabit a fantasy world until I found Dragonlance.
Okay.
So my first phone call as the Chief Creative Officer of Icons went to these two in the hopes that maybe they'd come back one more time, back home, to reestablish 40 years of canon and properly relaunch one of the most beloved and impactful.
Yeah, okay, so that's good, because, it's been, Shadow of the Dragon King, Queen, Prince, came out, and now my knowledge of Dragonlance is limited. I am not as well tuned into that setting as I know others are, but fact check me on this, but Dragonlance is a setting that doesn't really have clerics and divine magic, and in their adventure, they kind of just, if you choose to play a character who is a cleric, they just kind of hand wave it, which feels much more kind of like a, hey, are we introducing clerics back into this setting, or what? But so my thought process here is that Dragonlance hasn't really been handled that well, and so if we're giving it back to the creators and having them do lines of content and books in and of themselves that are going out under the WotC banner, under the WotC brand for D&D, that's cool. I can say the same with Greyhawk, and I'm also not a huge Greyhawk person, but I do think it is, it's archetypal, it's really cool. I wonder if we're gonna get people to do this with Spelljammer, because Spelljammer, Spelljammer is so cool, but this box set really did not deliver. I got it because, like, once again, I love Spelljammer. I think Spelljammer is so sick. They don't really have ship maps in here. You don't have proper rules for running, D&D in space. You've got some targets for different areas on a ship, but, like, if I want a map of a nautiloid, I've got to go to my print-on-demand Spelljammer book here from way back when it was originally created, and, like, there we go. There's a squid ship. I can go ahead and... Sorry, I didn't prepare for this part here. But, like, if I want this, if I want this stuff, I have to go back to a print-on-demand book that I got that is a reprint of, like, legacy D&D stuff, or I can just, go to my Spelljammer stuff here. But, like, I'm genuinely, this icon stuff, fantastic stuff. I love the idea of giving settings back to other creators to work on. Dragonlance going back to Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss. Greyhawk going to the Gygax family. But, like, so that way we're going to be getting more of D&D's kind of classic archetypal settings. I mean, cool.
Impactful fantasy settings of all time, and my absolute favorite, ladies and gentlemen, no D&D Mount Rushmore would be complete without Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman and the return of Dragonlance.
Genuinely, when I was saying that I was hesitant about Universes Beyond in D&D earlier and bringing up my Blue Sky posts, sharing that sort of hesitancy, like, this is another angle that I did not think that that I didn't think would be available to us as a route. Like, my initial thought process was, hey, let's put this stuff onto the DM's Guild just as far as so that people can create for it. But now we're kind of getting both that, because now WotC's going to be able to do setting introduction books made by the original creators. And then I believe it would go to a DM's Guild license. And so this D&D icons bit has completely alleviated my concerns with the World of Warcraft in the room. Like, okay, so we're going to have support for settings that are not just... I mean, we're going to have, I guess, 4 main WotC books per year, but are these going to be, like... Are we going to even have 4 WotC books per year, or are we going to be, like, going into other stuff? Are we going to be going into having a lot more, core D&D books per year, because they're going to be coming from all of these different, I guess, second-party content creator hubs and such now? That's really cool. That brings a lot of kind of the democratization of the hobby back. You have a lot of these worlds that are going to be maintained independently rather than under a monolithic umbrella. Now, granted, you have to pay that monolithic umbrella in order to use them and design for them, and that's the DM's Guild, but, like, well, you don't have to pay to get into it, but you pay part of the royalties. Rambling aside there. Or you can make your own. And so having a lot of these settings exist, this is going to be bringing back a lot of the very classic D&D landscape where, I mean, there are a lot of settings that are controlled by a lot of different people, and so it's not all on WotC to do it. So we're going to get a lot more deep D&D settings, a lot more deep mythology, and I am so here for it. And so now if WotC is going to, like, I know WotC is going to be doing more partner content because we had talked about them doing World of Warcraft, but D&D Icons gives me the pause, gives me the fresh air to say, hey, we're good. We can make this work. It's going to be keeping their legacy settings alive, and not just, in a dusty bin on the back shelf of their cue the Area 51 scene at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, this is genuinely just good news all around.
Years ago, I was a young man in my 20s, and I was driving across the country, across the Great Plains of the United States, desperate. Every job that I had had up to that point, I had failed at. But I had been offered an opportunity to come to TSR and to write Dungeons and Dragons. My wife and I, as we traveled across the country with our then 2 young children, left the home that we had known, and somewhere in Nebraska started talking about what we could bring to TSR that would justify them paying us actual money to write D&D. We had this world that we had thought of that had warriors riding dragons into battle. I wanted to call it Dragon Back. My wife thought it was a little too soft. And somewhere on those plains, Dragonlance was born. In the 40 years since that took place, we found a new home, a better home. A home that we have shared with all of you, and which you have kept alive through these decades. And now, I am so happy and proud to announce that we are bringing Dragonlance back home to D&D.
Yeah, no, this is awesome.
We are finding new ways to explore the world, to make it richer, deeper, and more importantly, to bring it into your hands as dungeon masters and gamers. We want this world to be yours. And it is our gift to you. We cannot be here forever. But in giving this gift, this world to you and putting it in your hands to create, we will know that home will always be there for you.
I think there's something very cool and impactful there, just because 5e design, like 5e is such a ubiquitous language in the design space. Like Critical Role, Stranger Things, like 2014 D&D brought about such a wave within the hobby that like basically everyone has played a game of 5e at some point. Or like if you're in the TTRPG space, you've probably played a 5e game before. You've probably become familiar in some way with how 5e works. And so by bringing a lot of these settings to 5e, that design language becomes this sort of very democratic thing where players can now learn this one learn this one game and have access to how the ideas and the mechanics work for both their home settings, for adapting that content to their own settings. And so you don't have to go through the sort of archaeological process of picking up like a 2e book here and immediately being hit with mechanics that you aren't inherently familiar with. And so like it saves them the whole thaco of the thing. Here, actually, let me actually jump into here. So like, actually, so like 4th edition, I love 4th edition. 4th edition, I'd say, is probably one of the best designed editions. And honestly, a lot of it is pretty forwards compatible with the ideas of 5e, but like there's some things that aren't. If you look at fortitude, reflex, and will defenses, as opposed to things like armor class in 5e, 4th edition is a bit harder to parse, but because it's all drawing on this 3rd edition D20 fantasy style, it's more accessible than previous editions were. And so having all of these legacy settings brought to 5e is this sort of very democratization of gameplay mechanics and gameplay language that can bring people both into understanding kind of the core mechanics and how these settings work, and different rulings or optional rules even that they can bring forward to their own homebrew settings, and that they can build off of what gets introduced in Dragonlance and Dark Sun. Once again, I know what's coming. I'm excited to talk about it. Or like things that make Greyhawk unique. So yeah, bringing it to 5e, bringing it into a very democratic gameplay focused language, I think that's just fantastic. And then because it is 5e, I believe it would then go to the DM's Guild, and so then people can design for it underneath WotC's umbrella. So hell yeah.
Ooh. Like a lot of people my age, I grew up at a time when Dungeons & Dragons was unjustly vilified and blamed by parents and the religious right for death and destruction and the overall corruption of the youth. There were book
Still out
burnings
there.
and witch hunts carried out by evangelists, and even a piece by Ed Bradley in 60 Minutes with your dad that unjustified went after Gary. But we were the generation that was galvanized by this pressure. We knew they were wrong, and it brought us all together. And we're now the generation that's in control of music and entertainment and art. And guess what? We can do what we want. And we want to play Dungeons & Dragons. You know, there was always something alluring and dangerous about D&D back in those days. It felt scary, like we were all doing something we shouldn't have been doing. Like those orange spine books and box sets were magical tomes and grimoires containing portals to new worlds and spells that could transform
They
our
totally
ordinary
are.
lives into extraordinary adventures. And that is exactly why I created Death Saves. At first, it was a way to harken back to the aesthetic and feel of that era through streetwear, but now it will serve as a vision of doom for the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse, as a playable world shaped by world-shattering events. The Blood War is ended, and darkness prevailed, and the world hangs on by a thread. You and your companions can seize the opportunity to take the battle to the doorstep of the Demon Lords. And that's all I'm going to say about that right now, because we'll be playtesting it tomorrow live for the first time here at GenCon, so you'll all be able to get a sense of the depths that Death Saves will be taking Dungeons & Dragons into the future. And due to popular demand, yes, I'm relaunching Death Save Streetwear with a special D&D capsule collection centered around the visionary art of Gerald Brom. I mean, if we're back, we're back. Best known, Brom is best known for creating the look and feel of the post-apocalyptic D&D world of Dark Sun. And the first pieces from it will be given out to the first people in line for the live play tomorrow. And then the full drop, I think, will probably land somewhere around New York Comic Con. So just stay tuned for that. And one more thing. As if all of this isn't enough, I brought a secret weapon tonight. No D&D Mount Rushmore would be complete without this person. Look up here. Any guesses? Responsible for creating the most popular and enduring character in Dungeons & Dragons history, whose books appeared more than 20 times on the New York Times bestseller list, With over 50 million books in print in a dozen languages, one of the most prolific writers and world creators in fantasy history, who took Ed Greenwood's Forgotten Realms and added a basement to it. Here to tease a special top secret upcoming project with...
Hell yeah, R.A. Salvatore. But also, kudos to shouting out Ed Greenwood, everything he did for the Forgotten Realms, and how that's kind of become the base setting for D&D as a whole. Like, dude deserves all the credit. Hell yeah.
With death saves and icons, the one, the only, the father of Dritz de Worden of Derman Neshez Baron and the ninth house of Menzo Baronzon. You call him R.A., but I call him Bob Salvatore.
Hello. I got to talk? I just got off a plane. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, they said, hey, come on out to GenCon. I'm like, what's going on? Oh, you'll see. This feels really great to me because, you know, I've been with TSR since 1987. Not as long as Tracy. But it's starting to feel new again a little bit, and that's what Joe's been going for. So I'm happy to be here, and we got some big plans just starting to stir, and do I get to kill a Wookiee? You can kill whatever you want. Okay, as long as I kill Wookiees, I'm happy. You know, this actually brings me back to like my first GenCon, because I really haven't been around here much lately. And back in those days, I still remember the phone call when this whole thing started. And I won the audition to do the second Forgotten Realms book. And then Mary Kirchhoff calls me up, and I had used one of... am I supposed to be reading that? Because I can't even see it. Mary Kirchhoff calls me up, and she tells me I can't use Doug Niles' character because that's in the Moonshae Isles. And she says, you know, we want it in the Forgotten Realms. I'm like, all I know are the Moonshae Isles. There's no book out. There's no anything. So she had me come up with a character off the top of my head because she said, I need a sidekick for Wolfgar. And I said, all right, I'll get back to you next week. I'm at work. I'm working as a financial analyst at the time. And I said, she says, no, you don't understand. I'm going to a meeting. And I need a sidekick for Wolfgar. And I said, all right, listen, I'll take lunch. I won't take lunch at work. I'll come up with something. I'll give you a call this afternoon. And she says, no, you don't understand. I'm standing across the hall. Now, there's no cell phones at this time, by the way. I'm standing across the hall from the room where they're waiting for me, and I have to sell your book to the sales force. This is really important. I need a sidekick for Wolfgar. And I don't know why, and I don't know how, but off the top of my head, I said, a drow elf. And she says, a drow? I said, yeah, a drow. Now I start thinking about it. I'm like, this could be fun. And she goes, you want to do a drow? I said, yeah, a drow ranger. That'll be cool. Nobody's ever done that. She says, Bob, there's a reason. And I said, no, it'll be cool. And we're going on and on and on. Finally, she's like, you can't do that. I said, I want to do that. And we kept going and going and going. And finally, she just says, all right, we don't have any more time. You can do it. What's his name? I don't know how, and I don't know why. But I said, Dritz de Worden of Derman Neshezbanon, the ninth house of Menzo Baronzon. Long pause.
Off the cuff?
And
Dang.
she says, what? What's a Menzo Baronzon? I said, I'll come up with something. She says, okay, Dritz de Worden of Derman Neshezbanon, the ninth house of Menzo Baronzon. Now I got it, right? She says, can you spell it? I said, no. And that phone call, and here I am, too many years than I want to count later, back at GenCon, and it feels like it's all new again. So, thank you.
We've all assembled here in the inn where it all started to reignite and carry the torch that is D&D's heart and spirit forward into the future. Behold, the first wave of Dungeons & Dragons icons.
Like Luke said, if you're excited about Greyhawk, good news. There's more than one vision of Greyhawk coming. Now, let's welcome D&D's game design director and the lead for the upcoming
Hell yeah.
Greyhawk adventure book, Justice Ramin Arman.
Greyhawk
Make some
adventure
noise,
book. All
people.
right. Hell yeah, Justice.
So, back at GaryCon 2024, during D&D's Year of the Dragon celebrations, we hosted a tournament adventure for the 5th edition update of S4, The Lost Caverns of Sajkant, originally created by Gary Gygax in 1976. That adventure introduced us to Drelnza, the vampire daughter of Igwilf, the Witch Queen, perhaps better known as Tasha. After that adventure's debut, we're returning to Greyhawk and expanding Drelnza's story, and you can play a part in it. Greyhawk, Crown of the Witch Queen is a full-length adventure set in the world of Oerth. The adventure surrounds the return and ascent of Drelnza, who seeks to follow in her mother's evil footsteps and become Greyhawk's newest Witch Queen. Between Luke's projects and Crown of the Witch Queen, Greyhawk's fans are going to be well fed. Thank you, everyone, and happy GenCon.
Okay, so gotta put it on pause here for a second. That's a sick animation. What was the transition there? Like talking about Tasha and the Witch Queens and Greyhawk there. All of a sudden now we've got Dark Sun Splatterfest. Like I don't know. That feels odd. Okay, Dark Sun. Part that I'm very excited to talk about because man, I love Dark Sun. I quite like Dark Sun. Hang on. Yeah, hold on my thoughts. Let's let them talk this through.
To help us wrap our heads around that absolute lunacy, please welcome D&D executive producer Greg Billsland. Make some noise.
Hey everyone, welcome to the blood-soaked world of Dark Sun, one of D&D's most iconic settings, and we are bringing it back in a big way as D&D's first mature-rated setting. So
I know I was going to pause and let him kind of talk, but once again, recently kind of as a part of discussions on Blue Sky, discussions on Reddit, Terran Pounds, Indestructo Boy, the Land of the Blind Productions, had a very interesting take about just kind of needing to have and codify a rating system for TTRPGs, and yeah, he 100%. There needs to be something like that. Not, I don't think it should be anything that's meaningfully enforced as far as like purchasing power or anything there, but like so that people who are browsing games at their local store know what they're kind of getting involved with. And so I find that very interesting that we're labeling Dark Sun as our first mature rated setting. Also, first implies that there are more coming, or more things like that coming. Yeah, Dark Sun is absolutely a mature rated setting because it has a lot of discussions of the genuine worst of humanity. It gets into slavery, it gets into environmental issues, it gets into cruelty to humanity, cruelty to the planet, fascist, authoritarian, all sorts of stuff like that. It gets into cannibalism. Yeah, there is gore. And yeah, no, I'm drawn a little bit aback because the whatchamacallit, that animatic that they showed, it don't get me wrong, that's very cool. That is a fun animatic that they showed for Dark Sun there. But like, Dark Sun's more than gore, it's more than shock value. Everything that is in their that campaign setting is there implicitly because it's something that the players are going to be both dealing with as a reality of their, everyday existences, and then fighting back against, meaningfully trying to make the world a better place. Like heroes in the world of Dark Sun, heroes on Athos. Like it's very much the absolute universe. I know that's just about as hard a transition there, but like, if you're looking at DC Comics, the absolute universe is a world founded on despair as opposed to a world founded on hope. So the DC universe heroes, like it's a world founded on hope. The expectation is that the heroes win and that the heroes are going to be more powerful, that the heroes have a strength that is inherent to the narrative. Whereas the absolute universe, at least on paper, is a world founded on despair. The heroes have to work harder because the villains have been empowered, they've been enhanced, they have a systemic control over the world, over the universe, and that the narrative hand of the writers is working against them. Dark Sun is to D&D what the absolute universe is to the DC main comics universe. Where the villains, for all intents and purposes, have won. They control the world of Athos. They have exerted power over the lives that the characters in a Dark Sun campaign are. And so the characters are fighting against that power. They have an uphill battle to climb. And so their moments of heroism, their maybe falls from grace, their actions weigh more because they are fighting back against a totality of evil. And that's more than just gore. But I promise I wasn't gonna pause that much for this. I want to hear what he has to say about the actual subject matter and about the actual themes of the setting.
So much so that the lawyers told us we had to shrink wrap it and put a label over it. We've taken all of the things that people love about Dark Sun, brutal stories of survival and resistance in the face of tyranny, and developed art and game mechanics, all to realize the promise of this world. The dying world of Athos is a brutal place where survival is its own act of defiance. Magic defiles the land, psionic monsters prowl the wastes, and tyrannical sorcerer kings rule through power and fear. And I am excited to share with you.
That's really cool art. Not doing much to dispel the we're doing this for the gore aspect, but like, survival as a form of defiance is absolutely it's absolutely a part of Dark Sun, but like, instill confidence in me, please.
You today some first looks at some art from the books.
Okay, it's sick art. That's a.
Here is the flicker of freedom.
These are kind of Magic the Gathering style art pieces, but like, They are very cool. Undeniably, they're very cool.
In this dying world, its sorcerer king Kalik lies dead, but the city's revolution continues. Tears flames forge its future and burn any who sympathize with tyrants. In Draj, life, gravity, and reality bend for the lunar god king Lifebringer, who demands sacrifices to fuel its dark omens and inscrutable ambitions. And in Golg, life and death blend together under the sorcerer king Lalipui. The city's tree towers and corpse plant guardians feed upon the spirits of the willing and, of course, the unwilling. Uruk is a brutalist engine of war driven to conquer by its sorcerer king Hamanu. As the world of Athos burns, Hamanu and the Uruk march to conquer the ashes. And in Rom, every day is the last day. Here, consequence and taboo lie scattered upon the streets, and debauchery can be had for the price of coin or flesh. And in Nibene, scions and scholars alike grasp at secrets from a forgotten past. They join their minds with their sorcerer king in pursuit of alien glories, seeking to outwit mortality. And last is Balak. It is what comes from a tyrant's reckless pursuit of power. It is a wasteland dominated by bizarre and deadly remnants of mad ambition. Darkson is a gritty, mature setting for those who are willing to step into this world. We have 3 books: Blood and Power, Edge of...
3 books. Hang on. So, those aren't fully how I imagined Dark Sun, those images there, but like I can get on board with a lot of the aesthetics there and a lot of how they reflect the setting. I love the new logo. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the old logo, but like if you're gonna have something that's, you know, just for like black and white printing, that's a pretty logo. So we have 3 books here. So we have a gameplay expansion and a setting expansion, and then probably an adventure. Are these gonna come like bound together as like one package here, or what?
of Oblivion, and a limited edition player's handbook with alternate art for Dark Sun, representing over 4...
Let's go. That's something that, honestly, like, as far as settings go for D&D, alternate player's handbooks with setting-specific art and maybe setting-specific inclusions and exclusions is huge. Like we were talking about Dragonlance earlier, and well, once again, I am not a Dragonlance scholar. I am not wildly familiar with the entirety of the nature of Dragonlance. Like, a Dragonlance PHB released alongside of a Dragonlance adventure would be able to automatically have what you need to play in this setting. Like, if clerics aren't a thing in Dragonlance, or like you want to inherently limit divine power and authority to this setting, drop it. Leave it out of the PHB so that it's not an option for players in this setting. And I wonder if that's... I'm betting that the gameplay expansion here is where we're going to get like the Scion class, additional subclasses and such for player characters. Setting expansion, that's probably going to be your Gazetteer, your expansion, your world building document. It's going to be telling you all about the setting, and I bet we're going to get an adventure. Oh no, sorry. He said that the other one is going to be the reprint of the player's handbook. I think reprint the player's handbook and just throw the gameplay expansion in there. Like, why does this need to be 2 books?
400 pages of content, all coming in 2027 in the Season of Survival. If you want to learn more, dungeonsanddragons.com/darksun. Thank you so much, GenCon.
Woo! Greg, thank you so much for joining us. One more time for Greg Billsland, everybody. Thank you. A new dawn for D&D also means a new dawn for D&D Beyond. Please give a warm welcome to a guy that eats sleeps, breathes Dungeons and Dragons, the executive producer of D&D Beyond, Brian Perry. Make some noise!
Nine years ago, D&D Beyond launched with a mission to make D&D easier to play. And then we forgot. We forgot our mission. But I'm back here tonight to talk about how we're going to make...
Genuinely fascinating what they're saying there. They came about because they want to make D&D easier to play. And like virtual tabletops to make things easier to play, and they've added that on. They've basically just cloned what Owlbear Rodeo does and called it D&D maps. They having a virtual character sheet makes playing D&D much easier. I'm a huge fan of Reroll versus D&D Beyond because I hate the D&D Beyond user interface experience. So what on earth are you guys doing to make this different or better? Because like I know I'm kind of an outlier. There are people who love D&D Beyond.
D&D easier to play together. Yes, we're adding one word to that mission. So tonight, I want to talk about together. That magical ingredient that makes D&D and tabletop role-playing games good for us, good for humanity, it's the people around the table. That's what we've been talking about tonight. And getting to play in...
Sorry. Is this it? Is this all that they have for Dark Sun on the page here? Just sign up for updates. Small blurb there. Seriously? Just the official reveal and... Man, give me more information, WotC. Come on. Make me excited for this setting.
Getting to be present, that's the ultimate state. But it feels harder than it's ever been in our lives just to get together, and we all want it. That's what we want to focus on D&D Beyond, together. And we're going to start with connect and play.
This is the most corporate speak thing I have ever, well, not ever seen, but like, this is just corporate speak. Like, we want to bring everyone who plays D&D together around a virtual table so that you can share in creating memories and, like, seriously, what are you doing to make this better? Just say it.
Let's talk about Connect, because that starts right now with the launch of dndbeyond.com/LFG. If you are having a hard time finding people to play D&D with, this is your hub. First, for players looking for local communities, today we are launching a dedicated D&D event finder. And now WPN stores can post local events right on D&D Beyond. And you can find your next local group all right here. This is just the start of what we want to do for local game stores. Now, for players that can't find a local group, we want to make sure your first game is awesome with the best professional dungeon masters. So today we're also announcing a partnership with Start Playing. And for a limited time, players can feel confident they're going to have a great first experience with one of Start Playing's top DM.
Okay, that's cool. Partnership with Start Playing, that's great. I do like the whole looking for game sort of tab and option there.
For just 99 cents. So also for players who use our D&D Discord server, there's also a totally rebuilt, dedicated looking for group section coming soon. All of this and more are available right now on dndbeyond.com/LFG.
Okay, you know what? Let's take a look. Let's just go ahead and pull it up, see what they have to say. Because, like, Dark Sun there was... I'm sorry, that's just fundamentally a disappointment. Find events, okay. Sure, okay. Let me plug in zip code. Oh, hey, it's at the miniature market. Okay. Okay, that... I can see this being useful for, like, Adventurers League and such, if you want to just kind of jump into a game. Cool. So play with a professional DM, start for 99 cents. Okay. Hit me. You know what? Give me... Okay, so it's not good. It's saying Sunday is the first time, so I can't do just immediately pick up tomorrow. Let's just go ahead and say the day after, Sunday. Time of day works best. Evenings. Yeah, please start at 6. I can bring 3 people, let's say. Role play heavy. Let's knows the... We're only able to pick 2. Interesting. Turn chaos into canon. I mean, these are very generic phrases here. A GM who can creatively turn chaos into canon, like being welcoming and inclusive, someone who knows the rules inside and out. So, like, let's say hypothetically we want to figure for someone who is beginner friendly and knows the rules. Can't really click into the inclusive tab there. Okay, so you know what? For this hypothetical here, since I'm not plugging in my credit card information here, let's go ahead and say someone who knows the rules and is great at storytelling. Anything else you want us to know? No. How does this look? Sure. Oh, wait, hang on. So this is us putting together a job offering. Okay. So they're going to put this out on what? Start playing here. And then what? Then hopefully we have someone who will pick it up for us. Interesting. I'm not going to hit submit because that's going to then lock us into this then. But there is a submit button right down underneath where my camera is. Okay, fascinating. So this is us saying, hey, I've got a table here. We're looking for a GM. Now, forgive me, but I didn't see an option that was GM looking for players. FAQs, that's there. And then join the Discord server. So, okay, this is... It's useful. I'm not going to lie. This... I don't think I've ever personally gone to an LFG area here specifically to look for something that I want to play in. I mostly just go ahead and talk to my friends in my own Discord server here and all that. But, like, for people who are either far away from others or for who might have trouble meeting up with other people or, like, wanting to get together with someone online for this and have, like, paid DMing experiences here, I can see something like this being rather useful. I mean, because I know Reddit has, like, an LFG sub. I know there are, like, if I pull up Discord, I could go to basically any of the D&D communities that I'm in, and they all probably have a looking for game where you can either post a similar style of application or, like, offer your services as a GM to a group. So I feel like that this is useful for people who either aren't plugged in as much to community discords or like into the different ecologies for D&D. And so D&D Beyond is once again doing its job of being a very good first point of contact for DMs, for players, for people who might not be familiar with this type of gaming. It doesn't really, D&D Beyond doesn't really work for me. I'll be the first one to say it, but I'm happy that it is here as a resource for others.
All right. I want to talk about play next, because over the next few months, we get to roll out some of the top requested features that will make play with D&D Beyond easier and better, including rebuilding site search, one of our top pain points by far. I know,
Okay.
by far.
Yeah.
We also have new DM prep tools like a scene manager, map pins, and bookmarking, and DM tools that don't require you to use maps, so you can run encounters and manage your sessions without having to launch a VTT.
Good.
Now, let's talk about during play, because look, most online tools are optimized for big screens and virtual-only play, but we care about together. And so what we really want to do is help make in-person play better together. So that's exactly what we're focusing on with a brand new app built on top of a brand new D&D game platform. This is the first look at an early prototype of a new D&D Beyond play experience coming to mobile first and other game platforms after. Here, we started with the idea that the tech at your table should actually reduce your distractions and keep you present. We don't want your phone to copy or replace any part of your tabletop experience, from the books to the minis to the snacks. What we really want to do, actually, is give you all the depth and intricacies of playing D&D so that you can focus on what matters, which is what is happening at the table right then and there. That's also why we spent almost 2 years now working on a new rules engine that truly understands D&D and will be able to support every single rule over time. This is the new D&D Beyond play experience that respects that you are here to hang out.
I think that that's really cool. Well, with some caveats. But like having an integrated D&D, play experience, having it be app-based and managed, like I think that that is very useful, because there are tools online that have similar levels of automation. I'm not a big Roll20 fan. I've played in a campaign that used it, but one of the things that I adored about that VTT and that service was that I had my character sheet built into the system, and I could just click a button and it would roll the dice. And it was pretty easy to read my character sheet once I had gotten it inputted. It was a little bit frustrating kind of getting it input, but like I think they've greatly improved character ingest, character creation, and that sort of thing in the time since I played in that campaign. But the automation of just I click on this button, it rolls the die with this modifier, is fantastic. And so to have that with D&D Beyond, where it already had that I click the button, it rolls the dice mechanic built into its web server, it already has the automations that are useful. That is useful. I mean, that is a great tool. Having that on mobile and in a cohesive mobile experience, I can see that being genuinely great, especially because I'm betting that there's going to be a way to link like a player's character sheet on their phone to the broader D&D Beyond campaign area. And so you can roll something on your phone, and it's going to automatically translate the result onto your GM's computer screen there. Like, I think that seamless sort of connection is going to be genuinely game-changing for D&D and for kind of at-the-table play. Like, here, give me 1 second. My usual solution here for D&D is I've got reroll, which is wildly blown out there, but it is a digital character tool. And so it's got all of my character sheets and information here. If it will, maybe if I can get a little bit of an angle, I don't know. It's got all of my characters' tools and information readily available, but the one thing that it doesn't have, the thing that I would love for it to have, is some sort of dice generation mechanic. Here, let me just go ahead and bring that up here for me, or at least just to kind of show off my current stuff. So like I've got my character sheet for my friend Jacob's Strixhaven game here. Level 8 Blood Hunter, Order of the Lycan. I've got all of my stats and abilities here, but I can't just click on it and it like rolls dice in a sidebar here. Like that would be ideal. Like I've got all of my skills, I've got my inventory and items there, my combat mechanics tab here, the couple random spells that I've got, and then all of my character traits and options. I love this app, but the one thing that it doesn't have that what they're showing the D&D Beyond has, and like what Roll20 has, but I don't like their service, is automation. I would love to be able to click this +2 here, and then I would throw a couple of dice on the side here, and that's my strength check. And so that way I can just report that to my DM when we're meeting on Discord. So genuinely having that as a mobile option for both at table play or for, campaign style play. Actually, here. Honestly, like having just a dice tray off to side, like on my Owlbear Rodeo setups here. Yeah, give me my stuff here. Like having just a kind of quick deploy dice tray on like a reroll would just be awesome. Where is my dice tray? There we go. So I can just kind of make this bigger, but like that's what they're pitching here with D&D Beyond, and man, I can get behind that. That is so nice. If I was a fan of D&D Beyond, I would absolutely use that and enjoy it. So yeah, no.
Our plan is to roll out a very early version of this in early 2027, then iterate, improve, and add features with your feedback. Look, we are super passionate about this cause, and this has been our general philosophy, rolling these things out. But sometimes we're just going to get things wrong. That's where we really appreciate your feedback, and then we make it better. So I want to thank you all so much for sticking with us on this journey. We'll have much more to share on everything I discuss in the next few weeks. Thank you.
Okay, hit us with the cool stuff again, guys. Give us the cool stuff.
Everybody! Now, GenCon, please welcome to the stage your new favorite warlock, Trisha Helfer.
Is this that one video game that they talked about that looked, interesting, but...
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here today. As you may already know, I play Katri, the lead character in the upcoming third-person action-adventure game Warlock, set in the D&D universe.
Don't care.
Why has...
Okay, cool art. Actually, hang on. Official gameplay reveal August 25th. Okay, we'll talk about that stuff maybe then. Like, I'm not interested in a D&D 5e video game. I've got Baldur's Gate 3. That's pretty sick. Oh, okay. So yeah.
That trailer!
That's a pretty sick trailer.
GenCon, please help me welcome to the stage Blizzard Entertainment's executive producer of World of Warcraft, Holly Longdale.
All right. So, like, once again, like, this is what I was talking about earlier when we were talking about the idea of universes beyond within D&D. World of Warcraft very much fits the D&D brand. Like, I believe the original pitch for World of Warcraft was just a D&D option that is online. Like, World of Warcraft is almost an original VTT where you can meet up with your friends in the game, have these sort of classical fantasy archetypes, and then, you know, go on an adventure that is curated by the GM or the, you know, the quest. I haven't played World of Warcraft, so take that for all of the important information there. And like, World of Warcraft is huge. It's classical fantasy. Like, it fits very well within this sort of D&D environment, this sort of D&D ecosystem. And, you know, we've had World of Warcraft books before, as I've been told. And given that they have the D&D Icons line now, where they're going to be supporting classic settings more, said nothing about Spelljammer, said nothing about Planescape. So, you know, still sad, but... like, okay, sure, let's go to Azeroth. Let's do some stuff here. Let's learn about this world. I'm much less annoyed by the whole universes beyond bit.
I'm just gonna do this to start. Can I hear who's for the Alliance?
And who's for the Horde?
Dan?
For the Horde? Told you.
Yeah, I know.
So we're going from the PC to the desktop. Holly, what can fans expect?
A lot, so much adventure, so much imagination, so much fun. When we hear about partnerships, you hear about a perfect match. This was just so obvious, especially with WoW. And we've got over 20 years of lore to play with. So we're really excited to be able to share this, especially given D&D are all about playing with friends, and WoW is playing with friends. So we can't wait for all the adventures we're going to have. And I want to see you at the table. It's going to be great.
World of Warcraft and the Season of Champions will offer players everything you need for your D&D sessions in Azeroth. And we're just getting frickin' warmed up, gang. We'll have our gameplay expansion, the map pack, minis, and a DM screen.
I know, right? We can promise you're going to see a lot of familiar faces. Does anyone here know Illidan's catchphrase? Oh my God, that's amazing. All right, yeah. So lots of favorite locations and everything you need to recreate your main character or roll a new alt or maybe even try something new.
New combinations like a Demon Hunter Tauren?
That's ridiculous. I'm thinking more like Undead Paladin for me. Ooh.
All right.
Yeah, you can do whatever.
There's some
It's
people
your
in,
imagination.
people in this room that can definitely get weirder. No. The book features 16 World of Warcraft species, including 11 that are new to D&D. Rules for playing all 13 WoW classes with 6 new subclasses, 3 updated subclasses, over 40 specializations, 50 new monsters and iconic bosses with stat blocks, and over 25 new magic items, dungeons, mounts, companions, and more.
So that's a lot as far as a core book. So like, that's really cool. And once again, because it fits very well within the D&D mythology, it fits very well within the D&D, you know, sort of vibes. Man, I'm giving it a thumbs up, but my lack of trust in WotC Please don't let me down.
And the best part is it'll be in your hands this November. I even hear
That is a
that
short
there might be a
turnaround.
display with everything we showed here around and some other surprises at the Hasbro booth and the GenCon floor. So go check that out. Oh, and by the way, you can frickin' pre-order right now. Orders are live this moment. Really? For the Alliance.
For the Horde!
Holly, thank you so much for joining us. GenCon, let's give Holly some love. Thank you.
Love you. Thank you. Bye.
So we talked about ensuring there's a D&D for everyone. But we kept coming back to the fact that there's some amazing properties out there that naturally lend themselves to D&D, like this one. So like an excited kid with all these toys to play with, we started to think about what sorts of other combinations would make the most sense to deliver some incredible D&D experiences, settings, and adventures. Today, we're announcing Dungeons & Dragons Universes Beyond, a hand-picked collection of some of the best collaborations across gaming, entertainment, books, and more.
Or most
Starting with
profitable. Which
Dungeons
one
&
is it?
Dragons World of Warcraft, we're going to aim to bring D&D to fandom from all corners of the world. Universes Beyond connects D&D with other beloved universes to make thrilling settings and adventures in places you've always dreamed about. D&D is for everyone, and Universes Beyond will help reinforce that.
Yes, D&D is for everyone, and Universes Beyond is a great way to get people interested and to give them frameworks for their campaign. Yes. It's a great recruitment tool. Like that's the big takeaway from Magic the Gathering there. Universes Beyond is a recruitment tool. Ideally for Universes Beyond, like the thing that I love the most about that's what I actually want. The thing that I love the most about Daggerheart is this section here towards the end of the book. Where are you? Where are you? Come on, come to me. Is campaign frames. Hang on, let me be a professional streamer here, or at least try to be. Give me my full screen presentation. There we go. Is campaign frames. Like, this is something that I am wholeheartedly doing for the Underkeeper RPG. And, like, it is how to use this game to run in this type of world. It is optional rules, it is foundations, it is how to flavor your game here. It has different tones and feels, and so like you can say, hey, let's say we do a Dark Sun with Daggerheart here. Actually, hang on. Dark Sun's probably not a great example. You want to do a growth and decay, blooming sort of what's the spell? Wither and bloom sort of thing. You have the Wither Wild campaign frame here, where you can do this sort of haunting Feywild sort of campaign, and you have everything you need to do for that right here. You know, GM principles, player principles, distinctions, communities, like all of the information you need to run that style of game right here within the campaign frame. It is a picture frame that goes around the portrait of your campaign, and the actual picture is giving the information about the experience. And so the picture itself is your rules, it's your mechanics, and then this is just a way to demonstrate, a way to show it off, a way to either heighten or detract from it. And so you are, by taking like the Wither Wild campaign frame there, or like my own TTRPG Underkeeper, like I have the Tyranny Under a Black Sun. It's very obviously Dark Sun coded. You can take these optional rules and then apply them to your campaign, and then all of a sudden the goal is that it should start feeling a bit more like this. And so, like, when I think of Universes Beyond, that's kind of what I'm thinking it would be best to be like. Now, granted, Azeroth is going to be, its own core books and settings and the like there, so I don't know. D&D based campaign frames would go so hard, and it would be... I'm just going to let him go ahead and talk.
I also get really excited about how this can help bring new players to the table by letting them start with universes and characters that they already know. But one thing I do want to make sure everybody hears, this is additive to the roadmap we have for our own worlds. We are expanding.
For now.
Absolutely. We are expanding what D&D can be, not taking anything away. And we've been staffing up specifically to support this initiative and look forward to what the future holds. And this all starts with our Season of Champions, where players will get to pick up their D20s for the first time and roll for the fate of Azeroth.
Thank you. Make some noise for Dan, people! You know what, everyone? As a newer D&D convert, one of the things that's amazed me the most is the creativity of the D&D creators. Whether they're working solo or starting their own companies, the team has got big plans with these incredible folks. And to talk about it, please help welcome back Greg Billsland, everybody.
Thanks, Theo. Speaking of roadmap, for our own worlds, we've been thinking a lot about how we better support our dungeon masters with the settings they love. Players shouldn't have to wait decades for us to go back to settings like Dark Sun. And
is this not the icons thing? This is not, we're having Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman do Dragonlance. We're having Luke Gygax do some Greyhawk stuff. We're having R.A. Salvatore do some Forgotten Realms stuff. Is that not what icons is?
And we should be making it easier for everyone to play in the worlds that they love with great adventures. The problem has been, we only have so many people on the D&D team, and supporting every one of these settings is a little challenging. So now, today, we are announcing 3 new partnerships in which we're bringing incredible studios on to create official content for D&D. Next year, we're going to return to Ravenloft and the Domains of Dread with an official book from Ghostfire Gaming.
Okay, so I guess D&D Icons is something else entirely. Okay, but no, Ghostfire Gaming makes some great stuff. Yeah, absolutely, Ravenloft. I'm glad we're getting more there. I mean, cool. I'm glad that the product lines are continuing. I'm glad that we're going to be getting more. So I guess Ghostfire Gaming is now like a second-party company to WotC there. So
then, in 2028, Visionary Productions is going to deliver us a thrilling Eberron adventure featuring beloved villain, the Lord of Blades. Woo!
Okay.
And we can't wait for you to see what's being cooked up by Kobold Press as they go to the Forgotten Realms in 2028. Each book is going to be available both physically.
So, hang on. Okay. So what's WotC doing then? Is WotC just managing the Universes Beyond licenses and, like, creating stuff that is for, like, no, seriously, like, if expanding these settings is going to be farmed out to, third/second party companies, now, what is WotC doing? Like, I guess they're managing World of Warcraft there, and so they're working with their partners at Blizzard there for staffing or for reference there, like. So if I want to go and work on like an Eberron thing, am I going to want to go to apply to Visionary, production and design, or should I apply to Wizards of the Coast? Because it seems like if I want to work on Eberron, you'd go for Visionary here. I mean, cool. I'm genuinely glad that these settings get to live on, that they get to do more, but like, is Wizards of the Coast just going to be the production house for Universes Beyond, and their partners are going to be continuing the setting within the rules framework? I guess Wizards of the Coast would also be like a Player's Handbook 2 if that comes out, which yes, Player's Handbook 2 is going to be a very necessary thing for a prolonged 5.5e.
Physically and digitally.
Can we expect anything focused on Baldur's Gate? Just asking for a friend.
No, it's always possible, Theo. These are the first of many of our partners that we're hoping to bring new settings, bringing you the settings that you love and deserve every year from some of the most talented creators across the TTRPG industry. And we are just getting started. Thank you all.
Make some noise for Greg, folks! Okay, we are about ready to wrap things up, ladies.
Here. Yo, T.
Yo, who's that? What, Deborah?
T.
Yeah? Oh, here we go.
Deborah Wild, your friend and legendary D&D player.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Just,
What's up? What's happening?
In the middle of a live show, and
right.
you know, you're kind of interrupting my flow state, you know.
Yeah, no, and you are doing so well. Well done, really. But yeah, actually. But I am here to talk about a little something called Dungeon Masters. Don't know if you've heard of it. Yeah?
Oh, Dungeon Masters.
Dungeon Masters, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, oh, by the way, I locked Dan Ayub in the bathroom, so we have like a little bit of time, so let's yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, look, okay.
Let's get on with it. The cast of Dungeon Masters, everybody. We have Deborah Wild, Mayana Berin, Jasmine Buller, and Christian Navarro.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Wait, where's Neil? Neil Newborn?
Who? Did he not make it? Oh, Neil. Oh, right. I forgot to tell you guys. He's actually on a plane right now. But it's fine because we are here to bring him in spirit.
Oh.
Yeah,
Best Neil impression contest, go.
Okay.
Careful, I fight.
Oh, careful, I fight. Careful, I sail. England.
Oh, that was good. That was good. I like that one. I like that one. Oh wait, but sorry, Theo, I totally derailed us. We got the bit we got to do.
Yeah.
Hello, GenCon 2026. Thank you so much for letting us invade your stage and for watching our little show.
Thank you.
Look, the teleprompter's gone. So, yeah, we have a show. It's on YouTube. Campaign 1, Campaign 2. You can all go watch it. And from all of us and everyone back there, thank you so much for all the love you're showing it.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second. This isn't on the script, but also, can we give it up for Jasmine Mueller, the best DM on the face of the
Make some
planet?
noise for Jasmine, people. Woo!
And if you want to keep the love going, we will be performing live on this stage on Saturday night, so we will see you there or live on YouTube with the stream.
Oh, speaking of Saturday, Theo. So we actually have a spot open at the table, and we might have a spot open for the next 2 campaigns.
Oh, is this what we did?
Did you bring it? Oh my God.
Oh God. Okay.
What are they going to do?
So okay. So Theo,
Like we rehearsed.
okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
What if he says no?
It's okay.
A stretch.
Theo, would you do us the honor and make us the happiest nerds on earth by playing some D&D with us?
I will.
We've got you for 2 campaigns, Theo. And you know what? You're going to be so happy you said yes, and you might want to download World of Warcraft because we're going to Azeroth!
finish out the year, we'll be taking some very familiar faces to Icewind Dale. Mysterious.
That's mysterious icy wind.
That's the wind, yeah.
I love Lazelle and all the fur.
Hey!
Yeah,
Hey, that's us.
Good looking bunch.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, I
is he
think
coming?
Dan's unlocked. Oh, I thought you locked him in.
Oh, shit! Run!
All right. Always up to mischief. Always up to mischief. What do you think, GenCon? Fucking cool, all right? All right, big finish. Let's bring the roadmap back up. I think that was your line.
Okay.
We're celebrating our legacy.
Let's see what all this is here. So we have Arcana Unleashed, sorry. Which is their upcoming Book of Magic. So you have your Tome of Spells, you have your Pages from the Mages, and so then this is that for 5e. It's more magic stuff. Okay. These seasons here are just kind of flavor things to just kind of collate. It'd be nice if they actually like said what the products coming out here were. So we have Arcana Unleashed, and I know that's, I believe, a book. D&D and World of Warcraft, I believe that's a book, but they were more talking about just kind of miniatures and kind of partnered content there. Season of Survival, that's Dark Sun, 2 books, and then the reprinted PHB. Season of Sword and Sorcery, which, like, that's just D&D, but Greyhawk. So we have an adventure in Greyhawk there. Okay, so 2027 is end of the Warcraft era, and then it's Dark Sun Greyhawk. Okay.
Legacy with the Icons program. Returning to Dragonlance and Greyhawk and doing big things with D&D Beyond.
Yeah, that's not really a useful.
We are going full Warlock, and Dark Sun is going to blow everyone's minds. And you know what?
I hope.
I still can't believe it, but D&D is going to Azeroth.
From what I've learned, they've been there before.
Incredible D&D creators. GenCon, this is our pledge to you. We heard you. We're showing up. We're showing up for the game, we're showing up for the community, and we're showing up for all of the people before us who spent countless hours making D&D what it is today. We're so honored, truly, to be the stewards of Dungeons & Dragons and to carry that mantle, ensuring that D&D is what its players deserve. That's what a new dawn of D&D means for us.
Listen, thank you all so much for being here. Without you, none of this matters. It's going to be a wild ride, and we're glad you're all a part of it. Please check out all the cool stuff we're doing at the D&D Tower all weekend. Early copies of Arcana Unleashed and Arcana Unleashed Deadfall are on sale for the GenCon faithful. So grab your copies, and important, keep your eye on the sky. Saturday, 10:30 p.m. for a very special thank you as the D&D team presents a love letter to D&D from Victory Field, just across the way from the convention center.
I think we're wrapping everything up there. Okay.
Theo, before we say goodnight, I just realized something. I think we forgot to explain what the Season of Rebellion is.
What? Are we allowed to do that?
Dude, we can do whatever the fuck we want. We're live.
That's how you kick off.
Should we do it?
Nah. No.
Kick off GenCon!
Let's not. This is like, look. I knew that this was coming because I've existed online since this happened, and I wasn't able to get first punch here, but like, no. No. Like, my initial reaction to hearing this was just, oh, fuck off. But like, tell me what books you're releasing. Tell me what all you're doing to, This is the panel. Sell me. Make me interested.
Let's get everybody back out! Come on out, folks! Come on, make some noise! Make some noise! Thank you so much to our D&D family on stage, in the audience, watching at home. Thank you all so much for being here. Good night, GenCon!
Oh, you're not going to say anything about it, other than it's a universes beyond that's coming. Cool. That's really useful. Okay. Fuck that. I'm sorry. The more I think about Star Wars, the less I like Star Wars. Cool. So, man, Icon seems cool. I want to see what comes of that. Partnered content with Kobold Press, with Ghostfire Gaming, and I don't know enough about Visionary there, but like that sounds sick as hell. I am so down for them continuing all of these settings, continuing product lines. Hit us with some Spelljammer, hit us with some Planescape, and once you've done the first book of Dark Sun, give it off to someone who's gonna do really cool stuff. Hell, I'll take it. Give me money and a team, and I will make you Dark Sun. Please. Man, fuck Star Wars. Okay, no, but like what's actually being shown is cool. What's being shown is useful. I might honestly pick up the Dark Sun books. Genuinely. Wizards of the Coast does a lot, and a lot of what they do is they have very good presentation. They do a very good job of collating information and presenting it. They do a great job with world building and making things accessible to people, and that's one of the big things that 5e is and does. I don't know. Let's see how it goes. I want to believe in Dark Sun. I want to believe in D&D icons, and I do believe in Kobold Press. I do believe in Ghostfire Gaming, and I don't know Visionary Entertainment, but like by the reputation of them being put alongside the other two, I want to believe in them as well. And I'm betting that as far as D&D is related, those products, like those continued product lines, are probably going to be the best D&D stuff that comes out, because WotC, like, D&D is a rule set. D&D is a rule set that can be applied to everywhere, and like Star Wars 5e is a thing that's existed for a while. I've got friends who have wanted to run and play Star Wars 5e, and like it was going to be their first time to DM, and despite my lack of real interest and engagement, that has only gotten more and more grand the longer I've considered it. Like, I'd happily put aside my lack of interest in that universe for my friends. And that part just kind of feels like, hey, we know that there's this big 5e port, and now we want you to give us money for something that's going to be similar and going to take its place within the cultural context, within the search engine optimization and stuff of that sort. And I'm sure that stuff like that exists for World of Warcraft. It's hard for me to turn off the cynical portion of my brain for this. I'm trying. But yeah. Cool. Yeah. I know I am the outlier. I am the 10th dentist who isn't a Star Wars person. And so I'm very glad that people who are Star Wars people are going to get 5e Star Wars. I'm very happy that people who like World of Warcraft are getting 5e World of Warcraft. And like that people who are passionate about both games get to work on those. That's awesome. I'm hesitant about Dark Sun, but I want to give them a shot. I want to give them a chance. I want to give goodwill and good graces there. Yeah, that is that. Talking about something that's gonna, that makes me feel good on the inside. Draw Steel. Once again, hard pivot there, but like as a tabletop RPG, I love Draw Steel. I've got the Ajax edition box set. I've got my core rulebook right behind me over there. And one of the things that I have genuinely missed out on and don't want to miss out on again going forward is Jams of the Timescape.
In St. Louis, we root for the home team because they're our team too. And with more than 25 local Chase branches and 5,000 nationwide, we're right beside.
There we go. Okay, that volume's up huge. Like Jams of the Timescape is coming up. It's coming back. And I am so taking part in this because like every time I think about Draw Steel, I think about having missed out on the first two Gems of the Timescapes, and like I want to be a part of this so bad. So let's go ahead and watch the announcement trailer.
I think it's ready. Let me just take it out of the oven, and the theme for Gems of the Timescape Volume 3 is 1 year of Draw Steel. Hello everyone, today is Draw Steel's first anniversary and the start of the 3rd edition of Gems of the Timescape, a Draw Steel game jam organized by John Denor and I. In this video, I'm going to answer your most important questions about the event. What is a game jam? What are the rules? How our new ranking system works? And obviously, what are the prizes? But if you don't want to hear my voice anymore, you can just head over to timescapejams.com to enter the jam and join our Discord server where you can chat with other participants. Okay, for starters, what is a game jam? Well, game jams are events where participants make games or game supplements from scratch with a deadline. In Gems of the Timescape, jammers make Draw Steel compatible products and submit them on itch.io. Our events are
all beginner friendly, and the main goals are to have fun and develop some game design skills. But to spice it up a little, entries are then ranked, and the top 3 win some nice goodies. But that's all secondary, because just participating is super fun. Okay, so how does this jam work? Unlike our previous editions, this time we're not telling you what to make. You're free to submit any Drawsteel compatible product as long as it fits the theme and follows the rules. Do you want to make a birthday cake ancestry? You got it. Do you want to make complications for each zodiac sign? Sure. Do you want to make a monster for each season? Do it. Again, your submission just has to loosely fit the theme 1 year of Drawsteel and follow the rules. And what are the rules? They're pretty straightforward. You can only submit one product. It must be a PDF document with 2 pages at most. It has to be created originally for the jam, and it must remain free or pay what you want on itch until the voting phase is over. Besides these rules, your product should, of course, follow the Drawsteel creator's license, not use any AI, and not contain any bigoted content. You'll note that the rules don't stop you from having collaborators, so feel free to join other creators on Discord if you need some help. And another great tip for beginners is submitting your entry as soon as possible and then updating your product on itch as you revise it. This way, there's a smaller risk of something going wrong at the last minute. For example, if someone notices that your PDF has 3 pages instead of 2, you can still fix that before the deadline. Don't leave your submission till the last second. But speaking of deadlines, what are the important dates for this event? The jam itself has already begun, so you can get started now. Then you have until August 21st to make your submission. At that point, voting will start and you'll have until August 28th to rate each other's entries. Finally, on September 4th, I'll post a video announcing the 3 winners
one day after my
on
birthday.
channel. And how are the winners going to be chosen? Okay, this is one of our major departures from previous editions, so listen up. Because last time we had so many entries that the judges simply could not go through all of them. So this time we want the jammers themselves, you, to vote on each other. Once voting opens, you'll be assigned 5 entries at random. After you read each of them, you'll see 4 different criteria to grade on a 5-star scale: usability, creativity, enjoyment, and theme. You can then grade more entries, but these 5 random ones are the minimum. So you should not have to read more than 10 pages, which I think is pretty doable in a week. Anyway, the criteria are, of course, deeply personal, and that's totally fine. We're hoping that the wisdom of the crowds balances stuff out, so we'll see. You'll also note that there is no criteria for art, and this is on purpose. This time we're trying to focus on words, not presentation. If your submission is readable, we'll be happy with it. Okay, once voting is done, the grades are averaged out, and the 3 submissions with the best averages are crowned the winners. And what do the top 3 ranked entries get? Well, thanks to our amazing sponsor, Tabletop Nonsense Force, we have some great prizes waiting for you. 3rd place gets issues 1 through 6 of the Blacksmith's Guild, while 2nd place gets all currently published issues. But 1st place wins all currently published
Genuinely
issues
awesome.
of the Blacksmith's Guild and a 12-month subscription to their Patreon. Again, thank you so much to Tabletop Nonsenseverse for sponsoring this edition of Jams of the Timescape. And I think that's everything. If you have any more questions, please join our Discord with the link in the description and ask away. See you all for the winners video. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we're definitely doing Jams of the Timescape. So yeah, I think honestly, this is a point where I'm probably gonna end the stream just because, end with hope. So yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day. I hope you guys jump into Jams of the Timescape as well. But yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day and enjoy your D&D. So take care.